Today we're going to discuss drawing eyes and the interesting shapes that we are going to need to think about in the anatomy of the eye. I usually want to think about and break down with basic lines and shapes and then build from there. You can do something similar if you want with your skin tone project, which is assignment number 4. Also notice that this has an excellent light source where you feel that the eye is realistic. This is a color pencil project and you can see reflections in the eye. You can even see a tree and a window in the background. The complementary colors, I don't know if you can tell from here, are red and green. Yes, that is correct. So that is something we're going to talk about: eyelashes, the lids, the crease, and even pores that you see in the eye. So that's a really interesting thing that you want to think about. Now, when I'm drawing, I want to avoid what students tend to do, which I call, because I'm mean, kindergarten art. They draw an eye that looks kind of like a lemon or a football. You see the entire iris. The eyelashes just look like rays on a sun. And this is something that I really want to break you of this habit. This is a no-no. We do not want to draw that way anymore. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the anatomy of the skull, because the eyeball is in the eye socket here on the skull. There's a pocket to your eye socket, and you have an eyeball that's placed perfectly inside the socket, and you have veins, tendons, whatever you want to call it, to help them stay in the eye socket along with the eyelids. And that is really important. When you look at this eyeball, you don't see the entire iris. You see only part of it. You see the majority of it, but right here it's covered. And that eyelid is helping keep the eyeball in the socket. So that's really important. So we're going to talk about this in basic terms. I'm going to first draw sketchily a circle. So I'm going to draw my circle slowly and as light as possible. Granted, I had to do it fairly dark here so that you all can see in the video. Now there's my eyeball. Now I want to draw the iris, which is the colored part of the eyeball. And it's not going to be perfect. It's scratchily, and that's okay. You can go in different directions. Do whatever you need for that. And then in the center, this is called, does anyone know? Yes, the pupil. So that is nice and sketchily. Now I want to look at my example here. My example, you see sort of a slant downward on this side of the iris. So I'm going to continue and draw that here. I'm going to actually show you a smaller example so that you can see side by side exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to scooch this over a little bit. Okay, so we are talking about this one right here. And what I want to think about, and you're going to draw this lighter than me, always keep that in mind, is the shapes, the lines that you see. There's always a tear duct, so you're not getting that point of the football. I look and see how much distance of white is underneath that iris, like so. Shh. I know it's study hall, but I'm doing a video right now. Here's an eye duct, and I'm pretty happy with that. Now here you see a reflection. Here's a pretend lamp shining down, and here's a reflection here. So I like to spell those out so that I don't forget to do that later. It's a little hard to erase after the fact if you really want it to be the white of the paper. And there's even a little circle right here. I notice that it's really medium values under here, and it gets really dark right along that eyelash line. The eyelash line gives a shadow. So I'm going to lightly kind of color that in right now. Might as well. I've mapped everything out for myself. And I notice there's even shading on the sides of the eyeball, which make it appear more rounded. And that's kind of a medium value, so I'm going to throw that in here, throw it in here, and I'm doing this a little scratcherly, and that's okay. Now I'm going to go for the big dark values. I noticed that the iris has a really dark outline. And so I'm going to go ahead and throw that in. You can do all of this in whatever order you feel comfortable. Some people like to start with the lights and work their way to the darks. Some people do their darks and then work their way to the lights. And then I'm going to go really dark right along that reflection, along the lash line here. I'm going to go ahead and get really dark because I know that's pretty easy and I've already built some structure here so I can easily do that. The iris that I have is fairly dark, so I'm going to scratch that in real easy. And then I can start putting like kind of like rays and lightly here. And then I go really dark. Wow! And just get my shading in. Yahoo! Along here, get nice and dark. I'm doing this fairly fast because this is just an example for Miss Marquez to just kind of feel more comfortable talking about it. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now we're going to avoid these types of eyelashes. So we're going to practice on the side of the paper here. If you press down and kind of lift up, you get these more wispy. And so you're going to just practice in advance. Now remember, eyelashes go in different directions, so this is something important to think about. So I'm going to start pressing down and lifting up so that it gets a nice point, and I'm going in different directions here. And it may not be perfect. Ooh, I forgot to do the crease of the eye. You have to put in all those little details. A little wrinklage, just kind of a darker value here. That's nice. And I'm going to go a little darker with the lashes. Looks like a female eye with darker, thicker lashes. Men can tend to have really nice long lashes too. So you need to draw them exactly the way you see them. And then here I notice that they're a little bit shorter and more delicate. Maybe there's a little bit of shading going on here. Now, I know I made this awful round ball here, but think about it. You're going to have eyebrows and things that you can throw in, and that'll disappear in time. So as long as you're doing things lightly, you never really need to worry about erasing because you're going to fill in with values later on. So it's not a big deal. And so these are kind of like right side up eyelashes that I've drawn here, a little bit thicker. They're individual hairs. We don't want to do eyebrows that look penciled in because that's not realistic and harsh. They have delicate little hairs just like our eyelashes. This is a no-no as well. So that's a real quick little introduction. And I also see some shading going on in here in this upper picture, and you can start throwing that in. You can do all kinds of fun things and really help begin an optical illusion. Any questions about that? So I basically just broke down this eyeball. We don't see the top part of the eyeball unless you're really surprised or really scared or a cartoon, and I highly doubt that's what we're going for. You're going to think about that reflection. You're going to look at the value range of the pupil. You're paying attention to all those delicate little details with the light source. Excellent. Did that stop it?
No, it stopped.
How do I stop it?
Go back to the thing.
Oh. I don't think that stopped it.
Go back to that. And then pause it. Stop.